it really is, like you say. But nowadays they have the preamble to the Oscars.
In 2020, Al Pacino's heart stopped. The paramedics revived him, but things were never the same. At 84, the iconic star from The Godfather found himself living a life no one could have predicted. After losing $50 million on movies he hated, he had to keep going to survive. And then, at 83, he became a dad to a child with a girlfriend young enough to be his granddaughter. From DNA test drama to his dark views on death, here's why one of Hollywood's greatest actors now leads a life of loneliness. Pacino was born on April 25, 1940, in East Harlem, New York City. His parents, Rosa Gherardi and Salvatore Pacino, were Sicilian immigrants chasing the American dream. But their marriage didn't last long. When Pacino was just 2, his father left for California to work as an insurance salesman, leaving his mother to raise him in the South Bronx. Fortunately, Pacino had his grandparents, Kate and James Gherardi, who came from Corleone, Sicily, a place that would later be immortalized in The Godfather. Life in the Bronx during the 40s and 50s was tough. Money was tight, and his father's absence created a hole that never quite healed. But his mother gave him a gift that would change everything. She loved movies and would take him to the theater, where he'd get lost in the magic of storytelling. Even before he fully understood it, acting intrigued him. Those early movie trips planted a seed that grew into his lifelong passion. As he grew older, Pacino earned the nickname Sonny from his friends. He had a rebellious side and loved pushing limits. By the time he was 9, he had already started smoking and drinking. At 13, he was trying marijuana. School didn't interest him, and he was constantly getting into trouble. Skipping class, fighting, and breaking rules became the norm. He was expelled from multiple schools before eventually enrolling in the High School of Performing Arts. It seemed like a good fit, but at 17, after a heated argument with his mother about his future, he dropped out. With no diploma and no steady job, he spent his teenage years adrift, hanging out with a group of friends who were all aimless like him. Some got into trouble, others turned to drugs. Sadly, 3 of his closest friends, Cliffy, Bruce, and Pye, would later die from drug overdoses. Pacino could have easily gone down the same path, but something kept him going. Acting became his escape, a way to channel his restless energy into something bigger than himself. He later admitted that without acting, he might not have made it out at all. Then came the losses that changed him forever. In 1962, when Pacino was just 22, his mother passed away at the age of 43 after years of struggling with depression. Her death hit him harder than anything before it. A year later, his grandfather, James, who had been like a father to him, also died. In just 1 year, the 2 people who meant the most to him were gone. Pacino later described that time as the lowest point in his life. He felt completely lost, as if there was nothing left to hold on to. Many years later, in his memoir Sonny Boy, named after the nickname his mother had given him, he wrote about his pain. He said that if he was lucky enough, maybe one day he'd be reunited with his mother, and all he wanted was the chance to walk up to her and say, "Hey Ma, see what happened to me." After losing his mother and grandfather, Pacino threw himself into acting. It wasn't an easy ride for him. Pacino took on any job he could: janitor, busboy, messenger, postal clerk, just to cover the costs of his acting classes. He studied at HB Studio in Greenwich Village, where he met Charlie Lilton, an acting teacher who became one of his closest mentors. But money was always a struggle. There were nights when he had nowhere to stay, so he'd crash on friends' couches, or sometimes even sleep in theaters when he had nowhere else. During the early 60s, things were so tough that he even slept on the streets, taking whatever small roles he could find in underground theater productions. Everything shifted for him in 1968, when he starred in The Indian Wants the Bronx, an off-Broadway play by Israel Horovitz. It debuted on January 17th at the Astor Place Theater in New York City, running for 177 performances. His portrayal of Murph was raw and edgy, dangerous yet deeply human. He wasn't just playing a violent troublemaker, He brought out the complexity under the aggression. Critics in the industry took notice, and he won the Obie Award for Best Actor. His co-star, John Cazale, won Best Supporting Actor, and Horowitz won Best New Play. But something even more important happened behind the scenes. The play was staged alongside another Horowitz play, The Sugar Plum, which starred Jill Clayburgh, Pacino's romantic partner at the time. Through this production, Pacino met Martin Bregman, a man who would change everything. Bregman saw something special in him and became his manager, helping him land iconic roles in The Godfather, Serpico, and Dog Day Afternoon. Pacino later said that without Bregman, his career might not have unfolded the way it did. Just a year later, Pacino made his Broadway debut in Does a Tiger Wear a Necktie?, a play written by Don Peterson. It opened at the Biltmore Theater in 1969 and explored the lives of teenage drug addicts in rehab, dealing with themes of addiction and redemption. Pacino played Bickham, a troubled young addict with a hard exterior hiding deep emotional scars. The production only ran for 39 performances after 9 previews, but it left a huge impact. Jack Kroll from Newsweek called Pacino a hood with a poetic soul, and Variety named him the most promising new Broadway actor. At just 29, he won the Tony Award for Best Featured Actor in a Play. That moment changed everything for him. His ability to bring so much depth to his roles came from years of intense training. He studied under Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio in New York, one of the most respected acting schools. Strasberg was a master of method acting, teaching actors to tap into their own emotions to create realistic performances. Pacino later said that training with Strasberg gave him the confidence to pursue acting full-time. Al Pacino's journey to playing Michael Corleone in The Godfather was a battle. His performance is legendary today, but back in 1972, casting him almost derailed the whole production. Paramount Pictures wanted a bankable star, someone like Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, Robert Redford, or Ryan O'Neal. Pacino was practically unknown at the time, with only 1 film credit and a strong theater background. But that wasn't enough for the studio. They didn't see him as a leading man. They wanted someone taller, someone who fit the classic Hollywood star image. But Francis Ford Coppola, the director, saw something in Pacino that no one else did. He believed Pacino was perfect for Michael Corleone, seeing his ability to capture Michael's transformation from an innocent war hero to a ruthless mafia boss. Coppola refused to back down, leading to constant battles with the studio. At one point, Paramount even tested James Caan for the role of Michael and gave Coppola an ultimatum. Pacino could stay, but only if Caan played Sonny Corleone. Even after filming started, the studio still had doubts. They watched early footage of Pacino's performance and wanted him replaced. Coppola knew he had to prove Pacino's worth, and fast. He decided to film the restaurant assassination scene ahead of schedule, a crucial moment when Michael takes his first real step into the mafia world. When the Paramount executives saw it, everything changed. They finally understood what Coppola had seen in Pacino all along. He wasn't just good, he was unforgettable. From that moment on, Pacino's place in the film was secured. That role changed everything for him. His performance earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor, though many believed he should have been nominated for Best Actor. Pacino, however, boycotted the ceremony in protest, feeling sidelined. But even without the win, his career skyrocketed. The Godfather grossed over $250 million on a $6 million budget, won Best Picture at the Oscars, and made Pacino a star. His portrayal of Michael was praised for its quiet intensity, the way he could convey so much with just a look. That chilling stare during the restaurant scene became one of cinema's most iconic moments. But getting there wasn't easy. Pacino later admitted he was terrified while filming. The pressure was immense, and the constant threat of being fired made it hard to focus. He even injured his ankle during a getaway scene, the pain so bad that he needed injections to keep going. Strangely, his first thought was relief. He thought the injury might get him fired, which at the time seemed easier than dealing with the pressure of proving himself. Coppola understood how much Pacino was struggling and did everything he could to help. He adjusted the filming schedule to give Pacino more time to settle into the role. He also leaned on Diane Keaton, Pacino's co-star, who became his emotional support on set. She helped lighten the mood, and they often laughed together after difficult scenes. Pacino later said that without Coppola's belief in him, he might not have made it through. In 1973, Pacino starred as Frank Serpico, a real-life NYPD officer who exposed corruption within the department. Pacino prepared for the role by spending time with Serpico, learning how he spoke and moved. He wanted to understand the deep isolation Serpico felt while standing up against his fellow officers. The production faced challenges from the start. Originally, John G. Avildsen was set to direct, but he was replaced by Sidney Lumet just before filming. The shoot took place during the summer of 1973, with real New York streets providing the backdrop. The heat, combined with Lumet's fast-paced directing style, created a tense atmosphere on set. Pacino's performance earned him an Academy Award nomination and a Golden Globe win. With a budget of just a few $1 million, the film made nearly $30 million at the box office. Over time, Serpico became a defining film in the crime genre, and Pacino's portrayal remains one of the most powerful of his career. A decade later, Pacino took on one of his most iconic roles in Scarface, 1983. He played Tony Montana, a Cuban refugee who rises to power in Miami's drug trade. Directed by Brian De Palma and written by Oliver Stone, the film was inspired by the 1932 classic, but updated to reflect the excess and violence of the 1980s. Tony Montana is ruthless, driven, and relentless the moment he steps foot in the United States. He's set on taking whatever he wants, no matter the cost. Pacino fully embraced the role, meticulously shaping every aspect of Tony's character, from his accent and mannerisms to the way he wielded a gun. He even endured a serious burn on his hand after grabbing the barrel of a hot gun during filming. The injury delayed production, but it showed just how dedicated Pacino was to making Tony feel authentic. When Scarface was released, it didn't go unnoticed. Critics slammed it for its extreme violence and frequent use of profanity. The Cuban community in Miami also protested the film, claiming it misrepresented immigrants, which led to parts of the film being shot in Los Angeles instead. Despite all the controversy, Scarface found its audience. It went on to gross $66 million worldwide and became a cult classic. Tony Montana's rise and fall became a powerful warning about the dangers of greed and power, with lines like, "Say hello to my little friend," turning into legends. The film's influence stretched far beyond the screen, shaping hip-hop, video games, and pop culture for years to come. Over time, Scarface was recognized as one of the greatest gangster films ever made. In 1992, Pacino took on a very different role in Scent of a Woman, which finally earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor. He played Lieutenant Colonel Frank Slade, a blind, bitter Army veteran who spends a weekend with a young prep school student named Charlie Sim, played by Chris O'Donnell. The film chronicles their journey as Slade teaches Charlie valuable life lessons, while secretly battling his own inner demons. To prepare for the role, Pacino wore opaque contact lenses to block his vision, and used a cane even when the cameras weren't rolling to make his blindness feel authentic. His performance was a perfect mix of humor and intensity, making Slade one of the most memorable characters in his career. One of the most famous scenes in the film is the tango, where, despite his blindness, Slade leads a young woman in a flawless dance. When Scarface hit theaters in 1983, it stirred up a massive controversy. Critics slammed the film for its excessive violence, constant profanity, and what they saw as a glorification of drug culture. The infamous chainsaw scene, which happens just 20 minutes into the movie, left audiences in shock, with some, like writers Kurt Vonnegut and John Irving, even walking out of screenings. The film didn't stop there. Many Cuban immigrants in Miami protested, arguing that the film portrayed them as criminals and drug traffickers. They felt it reinforced harmful stereotypes, making their community the face of Miami's drug trade. Hollywood insiders also predicted trouble. Martin Scorsese reportedly warned Stephen Bauer, who played Tony's best friend, that the film would anger Hollywood because it exposed their own corruption. But despite the controversy, Scarface was a major success, grossing over $134 million worldwide against a $31 million budget. Pacino's performance was widely celebrated, and his character's iconic "Ha" became instantly recognizable. His Oscar win was long overdue, honoring an actor who had already delivered some of the greatest performances in film history. Over time, Scarface gained a second life, becoming a cult classic, especially in hip-hop and Latino communities, where Tony Montana came to symbolize ambition and defiance. This rise in popularity sparked ongoing debates. Did Scarface warn against excess, or had it become a symbol of the very things it seemed to condemn? Even now, the discussion around some films continues, proving that certain stories never lose their impact, no matter how many years pass. In 2018, Pacino took on another highly controversial role in HBO's Paterno, a film about the Penn State child abuse scandal. The film focuses on a crucial two-week period in 2011 when Joe Paterno, a legendary football coach with over 400 career wins, saw his reputation destroyed after his former assistant, Jerry Sandusky, was arrested for sexually abusing young boys. Sandusky was later sentenced to 30 to 60 years in prison. The film raises one haunting question. How much did Paterno know? Pacino's portrayal captured a man torn between his football empire and the growing scandal. In one scene, Paterno recalls a 2001 report from an assistant coach who had seen Sandusky molesting a boy in a team shower. Paterno informed university officials but never followed up, a decision that ultimately overshadowed everything he had built. Critics praised Pacino for portraying Paterno's internal conflict, but the film itself left audiences divided. Some viewed Paterno as a scapegoat, while others believed he turned a blind eye. Over 300 of his former players protested the movie, claiming it unfairly destroyed his legacy. Just months after being fired from Penn State, Paterno died of lung cancer at the age of 85. The film never took a clear side. It forced viewers to decide whether Paterno was guilty of inaction or simply caught in a broken system that failed everyone. In 2013, Pacino stepped into another controversial role in HBO's Phil Spector, which explored the life of the legendary music producer known for revolutionizing sound in the 1960s, and for his eccentric personal life. In 2003, Spector was accused of murdering actress Lana Clarkson at his mansion. The film focuses on his relationship with defense attorney Linda Kenny Bowden, played by Helen Mirren, who questioned whether he could receive a fair trial. Unlike a typical courtroom drama, Phil Spector doesn't dwell on the legal battle. Instead, it shows a man losing control of his own narrative. Was he a misunderstood genius, or was he exactly what the world believed? The film never provides a clear answer, leaving audiences as conflicted as they were when the case first made headlines. Off-screen, Pacino faced his own personal drama in 2011 when he discovered that he had lost $50 million. His longtime accountant, Kenneth Starr, had been running a Ponzi scheme. Pacino, who had spent decades earning millions per film, was nearly wiped out overnight. Starr had built a reputation as a trusted financial advisor, managing money for Hollywood's biggest stars. Behind the scenes, however, he had been stealing from them. When the scheme collapsed, Starr was arrested and sentenced to 7 years in prison. Pacino returned from an expensive European vacation only to learn that his money was gone. In his memoir, Sonny Boy, he described the moment he realized the full extent of the betrayal. "I had $50 million, and then I had nothing." To recover, Pacino took on unexpected projects, including starring in Jack and Jill, a film he later admitted he only did for the paycheck. He also took speaking engagements and even appeared in commercials. He described that time as a crazy montage of loss, but ultimately, it taught him resilience. Even at the top of Hollywood, no one is untouchable. Al Pacino has never been just an actor. He has always been a storyteller. He seeks meaning in the roles he plays and in the projects he takes on. His passion for acting goes beyond performing. He wants to understand the craft, break it down, and share it with others. This drive led him to step behind the camera. Al Pacino's first major project as a director came in 1996 with Looking for Richard. This wasn't a typical film. It was a unique blend of documentary, performance, and personal exploration. Pacino sought to show why Shakespeare's work still holds meaning today. He chose Richard III, a play filled with power and ambition, to demonstrate that its themes continue to resonate. The film weaves between various styles, featuring dramatized scenes from Richard III with actors such as Alec Baldwin, Winona Ryder, and Kevin Spacey, as well as interviews with scholars and actors, including Kenneth Branagh and Vanessa Redgrave. The film was a success, earning the Directors Guild of America Award for Outstanding Directorial Achievement in a Documentary in 1997. Critics praised it for making Shakespeare more accessible and engaging, with Peter Travers calling it a great adventure and outrageous fun. In 2000, Pacino directed Chinese Coffee, marking a complete departure from his previous project. This film wasn't about history or literature. It focused on two men sitting in a room, talking. It was an adaptation of Ira Lewis's play, which Pacino had performed on stage in 1992. The story centers on Harry Levine, a struggling writer played by Pacino, and Jake Mannheim, a photographer portrayed by Jerry Orbach. Set in 1982 in Greenwich Village, the entire film unfolds over a single night as the two friends engage in a long, intense conversation. Though the film didn't reach a wide audience, those who saw it appreciated its honesty. It premiered at the Toronto Film Festival and was later screened at the Tribeca Film Festival. Eventually, it was released on DVD in 2007 as part of a box set called Pacino, An Actor's Vision, offering more people the chance to experience this hidden gem. Beyond his work as a director, Pacino has spent years helping shape the next generation of actors. Since 2000, he has served as co-president of the Actors Studio, alongside Ellen Burstyn and Harvey Keitel. This is no ordinary acting school. It's the place where some of the greatest talents in Hollywood history, such as James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, Paul Newman, and Jack Nicholson, honed their craft. Pacino himself studied under legends like Lee Strasberg and Charlie Lawton, and he has often said that the Actors Studio changed his life. Now, he helps do the same for others. For Pacino, the Actors Studio is about taking risks and pushing yourself, not about fame or success. It's about learning without fear. He guides young actors through workshops and discussions, encouraging them to read, think, and explore philosophy and literature. He believes that acting is not just about performance, it's about understanding life. Despite spending a lifetime in the spotlight, Pacino has never taken the step of marriage. Though he had high-profile relationships with Diane Keaton, Beverly D'Angelo, and Kathleen Quinlan, he remained a lifelong bachelor. In his 2024 memoir, Sonny Boy, Pacino explained why he never saw marriage as something that would enhance his life. He even referred to it as an entrance to the pain train. His views on commitment were shaped by personal fears, and no relationship ever changed that. His relationship with Diane Keaton remains one of Hollywood's most famous love stories. They met while filming The Godfather in 1972, with Keaton finding him both charming and mysterious. Their relationship lasted on and off for years, but by 1990, Keaton had had enough. While filming The Godfather Part 3, she gave him an ultimatum: commit or it's over. Pacino refused, and she walked away. He also had a serious relationship earlier with Kathleen Quinlan. Pacino met Kathleen Quinlan in 1979 at a party hosted by acting coach Lee Strasberg. The two became inseparable, traveling across Europe together. Pacino later admitted that Quinlan was the closest he ever came to marriage, but in the end, he backed out. That decision left him heartbroken for years. Though he never married, fatherhood became an important part of his life. In June 2023, at the age of 83, Pacino welcomed his fourth child, a son named Roman, with 29-year-old Noor Alala. The news shocked many, especially after reports surfaced that Pacino had requested a paternity test, unsure if he could still father children. Once the results confirmed that Roman was his, Pacino embraced fatherhood once again. Pacino and Alala began dating in 2020 during the pandemic, but their relationship didn't go public until April 2022. Their 54-year age gap drew significant attention, though Alala had a history of dating older men and had been linked to Mick Jagger and Clint Eastwood in the past. Roman is Alala's first child, while Pacino already had 3 children, twins Anton James and Olivia Rose, born in 2001 with Beverly D'Angelo, and his eldest daughter Julie Marie, born in 1989 with acting coach Jan Tarrant. Becoming a father again at 83 was a life-changing experience for Pacino. His own father abandoned him when he was young, and he was determined not to repeat that cycle. Even after separating from Alala, Pacino remained involved in Roman's life. He connects with his son through video calls, and the two even play harmonica together. At 84, Pacino is still working. In 2021, he starred in House of Gucci, and his upcoming projects show no signs of him slowing down. One of the most anticipated films is Modi, about the Italian artist Amedeo Modigliani, directed by Johnny Depp. The film focuses on 3 intense days in Modigliani's life as he struggles with his art and personal demons. Pacino is also starring in The Ritual, a horror film based on the true story of Emma Schmidt's exorcisms. Set to be released on April 18, 2025, the film follows 2 priests performing dangerous exorcisms while confronting their own pasts. Additionally, Pacino is involved in Billy Knight and Killing Castro, further proving his passion for storytelling remains as strong as ever. For Pacino, acting has always been more than a career. It's something that has kept him going through life's toughest moments. He often says it saved his life. His life has been filled with struggles, and in 2020, a near-death experience changed his outlook forever. During an illness, he lost his pulse and had to be revived by paramedics. After that, he became convinced that there is no afterlife, a belief he shared openly. At this stage in his life, Pacino remains active, still a father, and still reflecting on everything he's been through. He never followed the traditional path, but that never stopped him from living a full life. Whether on screen or off, Pacino continues to be one of the most fascinating figures in Hollywood.